we're back-to-back author chats, and you're probably wondering how I have this energy to do so many author chats. It's because each author has such an amazing story to tell. I never get tired of hearing them. I never get tired of turning the spotlight and letting them just speak from the heart about, what it took, the courage it took to write their memoirs in this very special collaboration book, The Stories of Us. So with me today, we have Warren Atteberry. So not to be outdone by all these women writers, we have Warren along with my brother rounding out our group. And such a pleasure to hear from a different perspective of growing up and coming into his own identity, coming to know his own masculinity. And so if you're tuning in, we've got Warren Atteberry today. And he's on a very unique mission. I mean, I love Warren simply because he is committed to the evolution of mankind, humankind, one person at a time. And I think that's so beautiful at, this stage of his life that he's living on such a wonderful purpose. And through the avatar coaching that he does with his spouse, Marilyn Atteberry, who we'll hear from in just a few hours in a different interview segment. And they are just a dynamic duo and really just living life the way it's meant to be. And if you're watching and tuning in today, Warren's chapter is called I Was a Footnote. So we'll hear more from Warren about how he came up with that title for his chapter. And what I want you to focus on as you listen to our discussion today is this concept of the servant class. The servant class. You may have heard of servant leadership. And, and let me know in the comments if you've heard of that before. But we're going to hear from Warren's perspective about the servant class, because he writes about this, and it was really just very eye-catching and caught me in the moment as I was going through his chapter preview. So please, everyone, welcome Warren Atteberry. Hello, Warren. Ho, ho, ho.
Holidays.
I love it that you're in the festive spirit, too.
Yeah, you bet. I might have to take it off here shortly because my head likes to breathe a lot and it gets kind of warm underneath the hat. So, but I figure I'd start with a little bonbon.
I love it, a bonbon indeed. So Warren, let's get right to it. I mean, your chapter was like amazing because it chronicled all these different moments of you growing up. And how did you come up with this title, I Was a Footnote?
Well, I grew up, it was an interesting, nothing special about my upbringing other than my two older brothers. I had two brothers. My mother was married very early and had two boys before the war. And then the way things were, that relationship turned into a painful one, and she got out of it and very shortly married my dad. And my dad had been in the military or just joined the military. This was just as the war, World War II, for the younger folks out there, was starting up. And so he went away and did his thing, and came back and then had myself and my younger daughter. And so, he was happy to have his own son. He was a good father for the older boys, but he liked to have his son, but he was also, he was a young man in the military, very busy and very active. And mom, of course, was happy to have another child, number 3 son. So I know she wanted a little girl, and very shortly after that came across my darling little sister Margene, and of course then Margene got all the juice there, So being the cute little baby girl in the family, so I kind of hung out and just had to take care of myself. My two older brothers were going through their adolescent angst, and then there was me, and then there was my little sister who got all the new presents and everything like that. So I was just hanging out in the middle and had my own world to take care of just inside myself.
And talk about your own little world. I mean, you had color blindness, so your world was really your own.
Well, not only was I colorblind, I have to take the hat off here. I was just red-green colorblind, so I see colors generally speaking, but red and green came together, and I don't really distinguish the two unless I really focus on them. And I didn't know that, of course, until I was a little older. But I did get glasses when I was at the age of 7, and I know I was at that point in time just pretty excited to realize that that trees had leaves, and I was nearsighted, and all I knew was that things were real fuzzy out there, but I didn't have anything to compare to until I got my glasses. So yeah, vision has been a kind of an ongoing issue through my life, one way or the other, like that.
I remember reading a passage where your mom dressed you in a pink sweater and you didn't even know.
It was a nice pink sweater, it had kind of little white flecks in it and everything, and it was a real pink. So I used to love it, because when something did catch my attention, that red would just kind of squeak in there a little bit. I said, yeah, that's really cool. And I was a little pudgy as a boy. I'm also a little pudgy as an older man now, but as a young boy wandering around the neighborhood in my little pink sweater, I kind of got the attention of one of the neighborhood ladies anyway. And she mentioned to my mom, she says, "Oh, Warren is just so cute walking around with his pink sweater and everything like that." And I didn't find out about that for a few years, but I did notice that at one point in time, all of a sudden my sweater just disappeared, and I got a new jacket kind of for no reason. So I guess Mom was looking out for me in my younger years there.
Talk a little bit more about your mom and her looking out. And one of the things I read that you quoted her was that she would say, "We are service people."
Mm-hmm.
And, can you tell us a bit more about that? How you led this example?
I suppose when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe right around that age, I started to realize that I think it's actually when we had first moved into civilian housing. Prior to that, we had always lived on the base. So everybody was real similar to me as far as, economic levels went. None of the kids ever had money for anything, so that was just natural. But all of a sudden we got into the general society, living in town, and other kids, well, I guess I was a little older, 13 or 14, and a buddy of mine, he actually ended up with a motor scooter, an old Vespa. They didn't have Vespas back then, but it was an old motor scooter like that. And I said, how does somebody get like that? And other kids just, they seem to, have stuff that I didn't have. They're nicer bikes and everything along that line. And I noticed that. And finally I asked Mom, I says, "Well, Mom, how come, my friend Bob over there they live in a big house and he's got a motor scooter. Can I get a motor scooter?" And she says, "Well, honey, we just don't, we don't have a lot of money like those folks." I says, and I took that, and I says, "Well, why, how come?" I was just trying to figure out this whole thing. And she says, "Well, honey, we're more or less a servant class." And of course, Dad was in the military, so I understood service. And I didn't really completely get it, but she says a servant class kind of, and this is what her reality was. It was, they kind of take care, of the people who have, more money and lots of money. And that's just, just kind of the way the things were. At a later point in time in my life, I did look up the etymology of the name Atteberry, and it actually translated back in the English, because we were from English descendants, and Atteberry was house servant. So at least we weren't field servants, I guess. We were house servants, so we had a little bit of class anyway. Back in the generations. So that was my experience. I just kind of have always looked at service as being a cool thing. And as I got into more self-awareness and recognizing the commercial search and the capitalistic search for more and more and everything like that, I became aware that being in service was actually a pretty high state of being and a pretty high quality of life. So I owned it. It was well into my 30s before I really was able to own that concept, and not put myself down for it. But when I got it, I said, yeah, okay, that's cool. I can live with that.
I love that, Warren, to be in service. Excellent. And I'm so glad you researched the etymology of your surname, because that was the practice back then, right? Like whatever your trade was became your surname. So if you were a blacksmith,
Mm-hmm.
you were John Blacksmith, or if you were a cobbler, you were just, Joe Cobbler. So
Yeah.
Atteberry, so house servants. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. If I may, I would like to read one line from your chapter, because you allude to the servant class. And I think it's such a wonderful statement. And it really speaks to who you are and the mission that you're on now in this decade of life. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this. But I am of the servant class. It's an honorable journey of caring when others are in need or in pain or simply need help. Perhaps the material rewards are few and fleeting, but compassionate service for others fills up the account.
Indeed. Yeah, I feel that. I know that my rewards in this life are definitely more in the heart and spirit. Accumulation of things, while at a time seemed like a good idea, was never something I accomplished easily. So that's where we are. Where I am is my wife and I. We're very happy where we are and who we are, and certainly have the ability to put food on our table every night. That's not an issue. We're not in poverty, but as oriented towards service, the financial rewards means that we get to be in service, until we're not.
No, I love it. I love it because service is many ways, right? It doesn't have to always be about money, but just your support of your fellow writers, the things that you do to coach others in this fantastic coaching program, the Avatars, is in service as well too. So I definitely see that when you and Marilyn are together.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Makes me...
Yes, indeed, indeed. So let's turn our attention now, because we went through the archives of the Atteberry family, her album, and we pulled up some pictures of you and your siblings. So let's go take a look at them. Hang on one second. I love these photos so much. They're black and white, which is so cool because you don't see black and white photos anymore.
They didn't have color back in those days. I was born in 1945, just after the war. And so, I think there was maybe color film around somewhere, but definitely far more expensive than black and white. And black and white was the way we recorded things in those days. Of course, we didn't have our handy little cell phone or anything else. You look in that bottom picture, the largest one, that's me and my bright, shiny silver jacket. And hanging on my arm is my brother is holding an old Brownie box camera. So the little box camera was about 3 inches by 6 inches. And, you rolled the film in it and had a little manual shutter that you had just clicked. And that was how we took pictures back in those days. That picture right there, if you see the ship in the background, that was when we were getting aboard the ship to go to Alaska. And Dad being in the military, we got to head off to Alaska. As my younger sister, me, and my older brother. Let's see, is that both of my? Yeah, The one picture, the tall one there, that's my eldest brother, and then Larry, and then that's Mel, is the shorter blonde-haired crew cut. He was the, you know, Mr. Crew Cut, you know, as I grew up, and then my little sister Margene, and off to the right is my mom and dad. I think that was probably even before me. You know, probably when he was getting ready to head off overseas somewhere.
These pictures are to be cherished. I mean, I love looking at. It's a piece of history, and I love the black and white images.
Indeed.
I did not know that jacket was silver. It is pretty shiny now that I see it.
Yeah, it was a warm jacket we got for the Alaskan weather. And, I don't know if you can see also my Levi's. You look down at the cuffs. That was the way we wore our Levi's back then. Big rolled up cuffs. That way you could wear them for a year or two, or
you could grow into them. Yes.
grow
Okay. See, little tidbits like that we would never have guessed. Okay, that was the reason. There was a practicality to everything back then.
Absolutely. And
who's in this picture?
Yeah, that was living in Sacramento. You look over at the side of the background there. That was the field, and we had our new home right there. That was our first adventure into civilian life, almost our first adventure into civilian life, and all tract houses built in North Sacramento. And of course, all of that is all built up right now. You wouldn't recognize it any way, shape, or form. I've driven by a couple of times and barely can recognize it. But yeah, we had moved in there. That's me on the left, and my two older brothers on the right, and our pug is Duke. And haven't been able to figure out who the other dog is. I think it belongs to my uncle. My uncle is up in the with the stripe shirt holding a little baby. He had his wife had just passed away, and standing next to my dad, his brother, they came and lived with us for a year or two while he got settled in and found a new wife, and they went off and created a wonderful life together. But that little picture of me right there is actually right at the age that I was when I recounted in my chapter about when I was learning how to play chess and meeting girls.
Yes, you owe a lot to that chess teacher that singled you out.
Mr. Bear, my favorite teacher of all time, which wasn't hard. Well, actually, the more I thought about it, I had a few good teachers along the way, but Mr. Bear made a difference in my life. Tall, gangly, redheaded guy. And as I'd shared earlier, I was kind of an inward type of person, into myself and not outward at all. And being in the military, we moved literally every 14 to 18 months. And so I didn't know kids. I didn't, if I had a friend, it was for a school year or part of a school year. And the idea of actually growing up with friends or knowing somebody over 2 or 3 years of classes, that was a unknown concept to me. I just didn't understand that. And I was just coming into civilian life at that time. And Mr. Bear, 7th grade teacher, always a happy guy. He was just a delightful teacher anyway. And he did something that was really strange. One day he came up to me and he looked me in the eyes. He said my name. And I don't think that had ever actually happened to me. It was a completely new experience for an adult to just, connect and say, Warren. And he says, I think you might like my after school chess club. And I said, well, yeah, I played a little chess with my uncle. He's a math teacher. And so I know how to play. And he says, great, well, come on in. And so I joined the chess club and actually was a pretty good chess player and started meeting these these other people that were my age, and turned out what they were was girls. And that was kind of an exciting exploration for me, recognizing that, oh yeah, okay, I can see that's a good addition to the world. And
It's amazing, the adults that come into your life, and they play an important part, being able to take notice of a child and mentoring them, taking them under their wings. I'm so glad you captured that story. I have to ask if the bear in the corner is in tribute to Mr. Bear, your teacher.
the bear in the corner.
The bear in the chair.
Is there a
in your background
here? Yes. Well, actually, I stole the Santa Claus hat from the bear. He's our Santa Claus bear. Yeah, that was a whole story behind that I don't remember at the moment. I'd have to sit down with Marilyn and remember, but it was we acquired the bear a few years back, and he's had we have a couple of bears running around. Thank you for, I didn't realize that. Bears, we've out in our backyard. We've got a friend of ours had given us a white ceramic polar bear that stands about 2 feet, 2.5 feet tall. And it was a commercial bear for iceberg something or other, or some kind of product, Coca-Cola or something like that, Pepsi maybe. I don't remember exactly. I think it was Pepsi. But anyway, he sits out in the back, and he's out covered with the snow right now in our backyard here in Sparks, and that bear has been with us for a long time. So I love bears. Yeah, Mr. Bear. He taught me how to write too.
See, so I think Mr. Bear is following you around and still watching over you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks. I'll remember that.
And who's this dapper man in the hat?
Well, that's the guy I take after. That's my dad. That was when he was skinny and off in Hawaii, I believe, probably very young man, and just thought it would be cool to take a picture smoking a cigarette. That was actually probably before World War II and had actually started, maybe getting more wound up at that time. But yep, that's Dad. And then over at the right, there's me and Sister Margene again, enjoying our youth there together. And up above is my Uncle Joy and my dad. They look like they're maybe praying for dinner here or something like that, but actually they're carving open fish. We were up at Rock Creek here in the up above Bishop in the Sierras, and we go there camping. I'm just realizing that was our old 55 Ford pickup truck in the back. That was what I learned to drive in. That was a good old truck. This was summer before my junior year, and that was just when I was starting to think, maybe I'm cooler than I ever thought I was. Had a neat hat, and was starting to flesh out a little bit, and was running track, and that was those were good times we had every summer. Dad being in the military still at that time, he would get a month-long furlough. And so we would take 2 to 3 weeks and head up to Rock Creek Campground and fish away for 3 weeks and just have a great time living out in the woods. That was really the only time that I got to know my dad, was on those camping trips, as a young man. That was good. And Uncle Joy, he was a ex-military man and had Navy guy, and he had tattoos all over, and he was underwater, what they called a Navy SEAL today. He was an UDT, underwater demolition team, and that was what his job was back in the military. That was way back 30s.
Oh, Mila's commenting. Mila's saying you're so cool and a good writer. Warren, and I have to agree. Yeah.
Well, Mila, Mila twisted my arm and made me do it. I joined up in this writing program just to get the old tech information to help my wife Marilyn in her writing endeavors. And I just started out, and first thing I said was, I'm not going to write anything. I'm just going to, I'm just here to learn the text. So don't try to get me all, well, that lasted about halfway through the program there. And she finally got a commitment to me. And so I sat down and put pen to paper, and away we went. It was a great experience, really delightful, and I'm very, very thankful that she forced my hand on that issue. Plus, I'm getting the tech information. So,
no, I think your story is so provides a different perspective, and so we love it. We love to have it included. I'm wondering though, in that pickup truck, did you ever pick up the girls? Going to dates?
Just girls didn't really come into my life until I was in college. I was kind of I looked a lot and probably fantasized quite a bit, but never actually had it. I did have a date for the senior prom, but it was kind of a pity date on both of our parts, I think. But we just you had to go to the senior prom. But yeah, I wasn't just didn't have any confidence in myself, or the confidence to actually strike up relationship. I got along with girls, but just wasn't able to move across that line of saying, hey, let's go out.
And I love this photo of your dad. I mean, it's so iconic. He looks like the Marble Man.
Isn't that great? Yeah, that's a favorite picture I have of him.
Yeah, he looks very cool, and you are too, right? Now that I've gotten to know you, you're a very cool man.
Had a few years of super cool there.
Excellent. So you said something about how you were forced your hand in writing, but what is the lesson that you got from all of this? Why was it important to kind of capture these stories?
I suppose I would go around. I really had convinced myself that I had a pretty boring life, with not much going on, and writing and trying to figure out what to write about. Just like I had no shortage of ideas to begin writing about. So that was probably the main thing. Was it really enhanced my appreciation of myself, and I spent a whole lot of time doing that. That's the work that we're involved in, is moving through, assisting ourselves and others to move through belief systems, belief patterns, ways of thinking that have made our lives. We go through our lives and we learn how to live our lives, and the way that we need to be with people, the way we need to be, I don't know, with our money, with our responsibilities, how we relate to the world itself, and politics or whatever. And that's one thing that my wife and I are stepping into. We're actually opening a new business at our advanced age, and we do our workshops with the Avatar course. And we've developed a new approach towards outreach, a new outreach approach called Boomers to Bloomers. And the idea is that by the time people are, late 50s, 60s, and they've gone through their life, they've established their ability to deal with life or not, wherever they are. And retirement's coming up, kids are moving out. Life is getting ready for a big change, and we just kind of generally sit down and don't give it a whole lot of thought. We just assume life is going to go on the way that it always has been, and we just want to offer the possibility that maybe we don't have to be exactly like we were for the last 60 years of our life, 50 years of our lives, and that maybe there's something of interest out there. And so encouraging people to start exploring what's going on in their own consciousness and why it is they do the things they do, and how it is that they got to be where they are right now, and maybe they want to do something different or go somewhere else, or just basically appreciate life more, appreciate themselves more, which is what I really got out of this. Even after 4 years of working on self-appreciation, this took me to a whole new level. The writing, it really comes from the inside. You know, we're not our past. We're not our past. We're our present. You know, our past experiences are lessons that we have learned from, and we can use today to assist us to be, you know, more present, more valuable to ourselves, more valuable to our extended families, and just generally, and to the planet. You know, the planet, our society, our world, going through huge changes right now. And younger person like yourself, I'm sure you've seen a few changes, but add another 35 years onto your adulthood or so, and you know, you'll see there's we're going through some radical changes right now, and what worked for us 10 years ago, 20 years ago, may not be working for us so well in the coming 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So the way we can handle the future, you know, and be present in the future, is to really get a good handle on what our past was, and that our past is not who we are today. We can become more of who we would like to be, and maybe we don't even know what we would like to be. That's part of the exploration that we work with people on.
I love that, Warren, so much. Wow, that was very encouraging just now to hear you say, like, your life is not boring, right? No one's life is boring, and it deserves to be told. And we are not made up of our past. We can take the lessons and adapt them for the future, but it's really learning how to live now in this present time, and flow, right? Flow with all the radical changes that are going through. And I love this new approach that you and Marilyn are doing for coaching the boomers to bloomers, because there's a new wave, I feel, of a silver tsunami, they call it.
Yeah.
Wave of activity where, you know, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, I mean, they are just living life as full as ever.
That's me and my wife.
And you're powerful. Both of you are very powerful examples of that. And I know that you will impact many that, you know, they can still reinvent themselves. Well, just like you are reinventing the business and reinventing this new approach to the avatar coaching. So It's remarkable.
Why not?
Why not indeed? Yes. Why not indeed? So we are at the end of our time, but thank you, Warren, so much for just your candid conversation with us and sharing these, you know, fantastic family photos. So appreciate that. And all of you who are watching, we invite you to join us for our Zoom celebration. It's happening tomorrow, Wednesday, on December 21st, just in time for the winter solstice. We invite you to join us on our public Facebook group, Stories of Us Authors, and that's where you'll be able to participate in all the ongoing conversations. We're going to be gathering all the authors together, offering some amazing fun prizes, giveaways. We'll do a Wheel of Names, and the book will be live starting tomorrow. The book will be live on Amazon, and you can order your copy just in time for Christmas. It makes a great stocking stuffer if it's right inside a stocking. And so we're
giving a bunch of them out, that's for sure.
Exactly. And so our launch is going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendars and join us on the Facebook group. So thank you again, Warren. I'm going to take a break and get geared up for Marilyn. Who's next?
Thank you so much, Olivia. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You are so welcome. And if you'd like to keep in touch with Warren and follow him and be a part of that Boomers to Bloomers, we invite you to follow his link tree. So there it is on the screen. All right. Oh, we've got one more comment coming through. Yay, Mila. Yes. So Mila is reminding everyone to do the Zoom launch. So thank you, Mila. Put that in the comments for us. And we will see you all real soon. Have a great night.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, Warren. Take care.